All right, guys, we're back. First-time viewers, thanks for joining us. Councilman Billy Jackson is a pillar in Decatur, Alabama, having served faithfully on the city council since 1996. It's a privilege and an honor to welcome Councilman Billy Jackson to this platform as we discuss his journey, his campaign, and his vision for Decatur, Alabama. Welcome, Councilman Jackson.
Glad to be here.
Man, thanks so much for doing this for us. Got a list of questions. We're just going to get right to it.
Okay.
Can you tell us about your upbringing in Decatur and the key moments that inspired you to enter public service?
Major, I grew up 2 doors down from your dad.
Yeah.
And so I've known the Strongs my entire life, but I was born here in Decatur, Alabama. My parents were born here in Decatur, Alabama. My grandparents were born here in Decatur, Alabama. So I have been a part of Decatur, Alabama for my entire life. My next closest sibling is 6.5 years older than me. So when my parents, who were actively involved in a lot of different things, they were involved in politics, they were involved to the point where they went to city council meetings regularly. They went to school board meetings regularly when I was very small. And my older brothers and sisters who were 14 or 15 years old, and I was much younger than them, instead of leaving me at home, I got dragged off to council meetings as a very young kid. I got dragged off to school board meetings, and that was a fairly regular occurrence. So with that being the case, I've always been involved in the political structure. And not that I knew what was going on at that particular time, but I've always been involved in that structure. So I had considered running for city council in 1992. I had just started a new job. And in that, we decided that we were trying to start a family, new job. We decided to hold off until a later time if we were going to do it at all. In 1996, I just didn't like the direction that specifically our district was going in. And so I decided to run for office in 1996. It was a real blessing for me that the citizens of District 1 supported me. To be quite frank with you, I rode into the office on the coattails of my father and my mother, who were active in the community. And so that was a blessing for me. It was a pathway for me to get into public office. But once I got there, I had to stand on my own. And I had to show the people of District 1 and the city that I was going to fight for the needs of our district, for the needs of our city. And that's what I've done throughout the entire process. I've basically pushed for the things that our city needs and tried to just encourage others to do the same thing.
Okay. Man, that's a great answer.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so you say you've been on a council member since 96. So what accomplishments are you most proud of, and how have they shaped your vision for mayor?
Some of the accomplishments that we have done, as far as we can talk about physical things, or we can talk about just the accomplishments of making people proud of our district again. There was one point where we didn't have our parks that we have now, that we didn't have facilities like Turner Searles and the fire stations that we have in our district. And all of those things came about, because of the fight that I put forth to have those things in our district. If you remember, well, you don't remember because you're very young, but your parents will remember, in 1996, we didn't have even railroad crossing bars in our district. In 1996, when I came into office, the state ranks the need for railroad crossing bars. And in 1996, when I came into office, the highest rated railroad crossing bar was the one that we have, the crossing at Carrie Matthews on Memorial Drive. And it was ranked number 189 in the state. And I didn't think number 189 was so bad, but when I was told later on that they do 18 to 20 railroad crossing bars a year, that told me that I'm looking at least 10 years before we get crossing bars here. And the ones at Vine Street and the ones at 12th Avenue were even farther down the list. But we had people in our district who had been hit by trains there, who had been killed by trains there. So that was a priority for me at that particular time. So I got with our city planner at the time, who was Rob Walker, our building director at the time, who was Jimmy Brothers, and other people in our city organization. And they started just kind of directing me, because I was brand new to this position. And they started to say, you need to call this person and you need to call that person, and multimodal transportation and all these different state agencies. And they went with me to the state to make sure that we could get these things done. We had the very first railroad crossing bar done in 1998. And that was at Memorial Drive. We were not supposed to have that for 10 years. We had the 12th Avenue crossing bar that we just take for granted now, and the Vine Street done in 1999. Within a year and a half, basically, of me being on the council, because of a hard fight, and we were better protected as a community because, we had the railroad crossing bars that we needed. And,
Right.
that's just one example of what we've done that a lot of people just take for granted. And we pass through those crossing bars and we get frustrated because the train's there and the crossing bars are there, but it's a safety mechanism that was important. We spent, the city invested $895,000 to redo Carrie Matthews swimming pool. Now we have a splash pad there that's free for the kids in our community.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of things going on like that. We have 5 new parks in our community that we didn't have in 1996. We have 2 new fire stations in District 1 that were not there in 1996. So we have a list of accomplishments that we've done with physical things. We have millions of dollars worth of road work and drainage projects that have been done since 1996. So, we've just got so many things that have been done physically. But I think the thing that we're most proud of is that people are now taking pride in District 1. They're proud. They're proud to live there.
Yes.
They are proud
Yes.
to say, I live on such and such street northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Where at one point it was almost, people ran away from
Yes.
that. And
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm hopeful that I was a part of that I made people proud to be a part of that community because of the representation that I've done for that district and for our city. I've tried to represent our district with dignity, with honor, with respect, and I've tried to carry myself in a professional way that not only that the people of District 1 can be proud of, but the people of the city can be proud of.
I personally think you've done a wonderful job. And now I did not know about the railroad crossing at Memorial Drive. You talking about right by the
Carrie Matthews.
and the graveyard
Yes.
on that curve right there. Yeah, man.
They weren't there.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they weren't there. And they were just crossings. And when I was a very small child, we were just up on 12th Avenue. And it's kind of funny, but it's scary. My mother and I were coming home late one night, no lights there, and we could hear the train blowing. And we looked to the left, and there was a train sitting there on the track. Lights were on, and so we thought that the train was just sitting there, and we started across. And just as we started across, I happened to look to the right, and a train was coming. And I screamed. I mean, I was a child. I screamed, and my mother hit brakes, and probably 4 or 5 feet farther forward, and the train would have hit us. We were just right there, and of course she panicked and backed up, but that was a close call for me as a child. It was a close call for my mother as a parent, but we have had people who were actually hit and killed at those intersections, and so it was something that was a priority. So a lot of people don't realize that, and a lot of people say, well, what's been done? And all we've got to do is kind of take, pull out and see what was here before, what was not here before. The renovations that we've done to Carrie Matthews, the current renovation that we're looking at as far as doing to Carrie Matthews. And some people say, well, we don't need to redo Carrie Matthews. And others say, well, hey, look, that's part of our history. And, I had my first fight at Carrie Matthews, or I had my first dance at Carrie Matthews, I had my first kiss at Carrie Matthews. It's a part of our community. Yeah. And so that being the case, people look at that as a part of our community, as a part of our legacy, and people want to save it. And as a representative of that district, it is my responsibility to listen to the people. And because I'm merely, Major, an extension of the people of District 1. Everybody can't go in and vote on every issue that comes up. We have 58,000 people in our city. And every time we have a vote and we have 20 or 30 items on every agenda, we can't vote on every item. So I'm elected to be their representative, and I'm elected to be an extension of them. So I have to do the things that the people of my district call for. And that's kind of my mission.
Yeah. I bet it's not only a close call for you and your mom at that time, but I bet there was a close call for several residents in that area.
Oh, absolutely.
At that time. I've never even remembered it. When I started driving in 2000, it was there. Yeah. You see it come down, you stop, and as a kid, you sometimes think you can beat it and try to go around it. So I'm glad it was there.
Bad mistake.
Bad mistake. Okay. If elected, what are the top 3 priorities you plan to tackle in your first 100 days?
I think that we have to look at, first and foremost, Major, we have to look at trying to unite our city. Our city is divided right now. We have to unite our city and make sure that we can pull together as a community and start to work and pull in one direction it's so much easier if everybody's pulling in one direction versus some people pulling, some people pushing. So I think that we have to start by communicating with everybody, getting everybody at the table. It is my opinion that we have so much more in common as individuals and as groups than we have differences. So if we can get people on both extremes together, people in the middle together, and we can start having those conversations, I think that our city starts to grow, our city starts to prosper. We start to get a better feel about our community. And so I think that's one huge thing. Another thing that we have to do is we have to kind of do a better job of not kind of, but we have to do definitely a better job of trying to make sure that our economic possibilities are there for our citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to do a better job of making sure that there are opportunities for our citizens here. We do invest in programs that address our opportunities for employment and things of that nature, but we've just got to do a better job of investing in that, partnering with people. We have organizations, as I said, that that's basically their task. We kind of have to hold those people accountable, though. We put money into those programs, and we do money year in and year out, and we turn that money loose, and then there's really not a checkup to say, what's the result of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to do a better job of that. We've got a couple more issues that are really big for me, and we have issues involving our homeless community. We have issues involving our mental health issues in our city. We have to address all of those things. Our homeless community, a lot of people just look at them as homeless people and they don't impact anything, just stay away from them. But they impact our businesses. They come into our businesses. They come to our homes. And so we have to address that issue from the perspective that if we can help them heal the situation that they're in, it doesn't impact our business as readily. It doesn't impact our households when people are coming and asking for help. And we all want to be helpful of those people, but we need to partner with these organizations that are built and who are better trained to address those issues more so than we are. We have to do a better job of partnering with our friends in the mental health industry.
Yes.
We've seen the impact of what a person with mental health illness we've seen the impact of handling that situation
Yes, sir.
improperly. So it's a situation where there are so many things that we need to address. There's such a short period of time in a 4-year period to be able to address those things.
Yeah.
But I think that hitting the ground running day one so that we can start addressing these things. And that's why I'm a candidate. And that's why I put myself in this arena as a candidate, because I feel that I am the only person who can hit the ground day one with my experience, my background, my education. I can hit that ground running, Major, and we don't have to look back. We don't have to ask for help. We don't have to have an assistant mayor, if you will, to help us with those type situations.
Yeah.
We can just hit the ground running and have people in place who can work with all the situations that we have at hand.
I think bipartisan partnership is huge.
It is.
It is. I think coming together and putting aside some of the smaller differences for the bigger goals, I think that's you hit the
another thing we have to do, and I know you're about to go to the next question, but I want to say this: we have to do a better job of assessing what our departments are doing, and we have to make sure that our departments are on point. At current time, it's my understanding that our department heads aren't getting evaluations, and they've not gotten evaluations for years. And it's important that our department heads, our departments, be held accountable to answer to our citizens. We work for the citizens of Decatur.
Yeah.
And as mayor, accountability starts at the top. It doesn't start at the bottom and work up to the mayor.
No.
It starts at the top and it works down to the department heads and to the employees and to everyone in City Hall and everyone in our city organization. So we have to do an assessment of where our departments are, make sure that they are being held accountable and that they embrace the accountability. We want people at City Hall who are anxious to work for the citizens, who are anxious and excited to get out and do the things that the public needs and desires. Public service is not a position or a job for everybody.
No.
It's not.
Yeah.
You got to have the heart for it. And it's important that we have the employees at City Hall who do have that heart and who do have a desire to work for the citizens of Decatur. And so that assessment starts day one. And in the first 100 days, we need to have that all worked out and moving forward and making sure that we've got the right personnel on deck and the right staff to carry out that mission.
That could be a whole conversation, but I won't do it.
I'm here for you, whatever you want.
Yeah, I think leadership trickles down from the top. The atmosphere of accountability has to be set. I go to work every day and I'm held accountable at all times for whatever I put my name on or my operator number on. I'm held accountable for it. So I think department heads should definitely be held accountable.
And the mayor should have an operator number. Going back to your example, he should have an operator number and he should be held accountable. He or she should be held accountable.
That's a fact.
And there should be no running and hiding. We all make mistakes, but I should be accountable and man enough to step out and say, if I make a mistake, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I was, I have to address that. I can explain why I made a mistake. I might not explain why I made that mistake. I just need to say, I made a mistake. It's time to move forward. This is the direction that we need to go in based on the mistake that I made. And I think that if we're accountable, if we are willing to step up and accept the fact that we are human, we make mistakes. Yeah. Nobody's perfect, so I will make mistakes, but I have to address that. I can't run from that. No. I can't get up and leave. I can't walk out when people want to ask me questions about my mistake. I have to address that. I have to meet it face to face, head on, in every instance.
Yeah, as we all should be held accountable, especially in authoritative positions like that.
Absolutely.
Moving forward. Some say it's time for fresh faces. Why should voters trust your experience to deliver real change?
I think that more than anything else, I have a track record.
That's a fact.
And, people throughout our city, Major, have called me for different issues. When in 1999, when our website was formed, I put my personal cell number on that website. And I made myself accessible to the citizens of Decatur, not just District 1. Most of the people in District 1 have my phone number, but I made myself accessible to the people of the city of Decatur. No other council member does that. No other council member, the mayor, does not have his personal cell number on the city's website. I did that because I want people to be able to call me. So the experience factor, people talk about new faces. Sometimes it takes new faces. Sometimes it just takes that same old face that you can trust, that person who's been there, that person who's gotten those phone calls because his number is on the website. At 3 o'clock in the morning, people call you and say, hey, look, a tree's falling on my house. They know I've got a tractor. They know I've had a bucket truck. They know that I'll come out there and I'll help them when that tree is on their house and I'm out there cutting limbs and making sure that they are trying to get in a better situation. They know that when they call me, when even people have called me and say, hey, look, man, my dog, who is my comfort, has gone. I don't know what to do. The animal control people are not open, and I come around there and try to help them find their dog. People have called me for so many different things over the years. So experience is a factor, but I think what we do is we look back and we see who's been there. We see who's shown that I'll be there for them at all times. Since 1996, I've held a standing community meeting for the citizens of Decatur each and every first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. And the reason I've done that, Major, is because I want to again hear from the citizens of District 1 specifically, because I represent them, but people from outside of our district come. We have our police department there often. We've had our fire representatives there. We've had representatives from the building department there. We've had representatives from community development. We've had different representatives. We've had the mayors there at different times to answer questions. We've had planning representatives, but I want to be that conduit so that people of District 1 and throughout our city can come to our community meetings and answer questions and get their questions answered, In 1996, we started that, and we kept that up until 2000 when COVID came. We took a break because people weren't comfortable and we didn't really need to congregate during COVID. And my phone still dings on the first Monday of every month to remind me that I have a Tuesday at 7 o'clock meeting for our community meeting. But even after COVID, people were not necessarily comfortable getting together and having those meetings. So we kind of held off on that. And then about 2023, I started contemplating the idea of running for mayor. And I knew that there would be naysayers out there who would say, hey, he's just starting this, and didn't understand the history that we had, and that we can document with minutes and everything else the meetings that we've had since 1996. So people would say he's just starting that because he's looking at running for mayor. I didn't want to give them that ammunition, but realistically and honestly, we've had community meetings set since 1996. In 1996, Tommy Sykes was our school board representative. Mm-hmm. And we brought Tommy Sykes in and asked Tommy if Tommy would join us. And he graciously joined us. And sometimes when people wouldn't show up, Major, it would just be me and Tommy sitting there, and we might be talking and waiting for people to come in. And just like you and I are doing, we might be talking about the football game, the basketball game, what we saw on TV, and waiting for people to come. But we made ourselves accessible mm-hmm. to the public to come. In 2008, when Tommy didn't run again, Michelle King took his place on the school board. I invited Michelle King in, and Michelle King graciously accepted. And she came in, and she took right over where Tommy left off, and she's been there every meeting with me. And again, we would have 8, 10, sometimes 12 or 20, 25 people, depending on what the issues of our community were at that particular time. But the real crux of that was that we wanted to make ourselves accessible to the people of District 1. That's not changed. And that's what I want to do as mayor for the city of Decatur. I want to make myself accessible. So we want to have the town hall meetings. We want to meet with people. I think that sometimes people love to criticize. I think sometimes criticism is a better tool for me to understand what's going on in the community than having a pat on the back. People will pat you on the back and really not be sincere about it.
Yes, sir.
When somebody criticizes you, they're sincere. They've got something that they want to address. And I think that it's important when that we have people come to us, have that opportunity to criticize, and then me have the opportunity to address that from the position that I'm in. Yeah. So that hopefully I answered your question, and that's where we are.
You definitely answered the question. Moving forward, how will you partner with local businesses and industries to expand opportunities for Decatur residents, manufacturing, aerospace, small enterprises? How would you partner with them?
I think it starts with conversation, and the conversation has to be a sincere one. Decatur has done a lot for our local businesses. When you give a lot, you kind of expect things in return. And it's not quid pro quo, but it's simply a fact that these people are the people who are supporting you. And so I think that it's important that you support the people who support you in all instances. And Major, I think that we have to have those conversations with industry. We have to have that conversation with small businesses. We have to have conversations with future developers who are coming to our community. We kind of have to hit it at the front end of it. And even those businesses that are already established here, we need to go in and have people like our economics development director go in and have those conversations with those people and just say, hey, look, people of Decatur have supported you, and we need that support in return, because we want a vibrant community that is where people spend their money and their hard-earned dollars here in this community. And that happens when we have those opportunities here through our businesses and through our jobs. And, we just have to have those conversations right out of the gate.
So that sounded like networking with the local businesses and things.
That's exactly
like
what it is.
Okay. That's make a lot of sense.
That's
not happening now?
The term that you used is a much better term than I try to elaborate on, but networking is exactly it. I won't say that it's not happening now. I think that we could always do a better job. We could always look for better opportunities and opportunities to expand whatever we have, Major. And I think that some things are working in Decatur. I'm not here and saying that everything in Decatur is broken.
Right.
We have a system that's set up to address these things, but we do have to look at other opportunities. We have to look at expanding the opportunities that are in front of us. We have to look at enhancing the opportunities that we have. And if it takes greater networking or more networking, then we have to explore those opportunities. We have to take advantage of every opportunity that's in front of us if our community is going to grow and thrive and be the community that we all desire to live in. With
Chief Torry Mack now leading the police department, How will your administration collaborate to improve public safety and community trust?
I think that one thing that we've already seen with Chief Mack coming in is that there is a new level of commitment from our police officers. Police officers have shared with other council members, with me, that the leadership that's being provided by Chief Mack is one that was basically, I don't want to say I don't want to criticize anybody, but we were sort of void of that leadership. That leadership is there now. And with his deputy chief, Eric Stischer, who is on board as well, we have a team that's working, and we're bringing in an internal affairs consultant. So all of the aspects that were addressed in the third-party review, as far as leadership, as far as internal affairs, as far as training, all those things are being addressed now. And with those things being addressed, I think that we need to allow Chief Mack some time to establish his protocol, how things are going to be done. And I think that with that happening, that people will start to see a more engaged police department, a police department that is working for the citizens, a police department that's more approachable, a police department that's more in tune with mental health issues, with community issues, more community policing, police departments and police officers who are getting out and walking and meeting citizens. And, it's easy, Major, if you and I don't know each other and there's a conflict and I walk up, and that might or might not be handled in the most appropriate way if we're on opposite sides or perceive that we're on opposite sides. But if we know each other, and as I've known your family for so long, and you're in sort of an engaged situation, if I walk up, you're going to embrace me and accept my coming in and getting involved in that conversation. That's what we need with our police officers. And we need our police officers to be more engaged with our community. And I think that's what we're seeing with Chief Mack. And I think that we're going to see more of that. So I think that we're going to see more engagement and more activity from our police department. We've talked about starting our PALS program again, where the police officers it's Police Athletic League, where the police officers are involved with our kids, and they are, we know our police officers from a very young age and growing up. It's just a matter of building those bridges. And once we build those bridges, I think that we can put away some of the issues that we have with our police department. I think that Chief Mack is doing a great job right out of the gate addressing those issues.
Yeah. It seems like the chief brings transparency, and I think that transparency brings harmony from the community, you know what I'm saying, with the police department. And so I like that transparency he's moving with, and I hope you bring that type of transparency as well if elected.
That's absolutely my intent. Absolutely, my intent is to bring transparency from the sixth floor of City Hall all the way down to the basement of City Hall, and to make sure that our citizens are aware of things that are happening in our community.
Yes.
And just as you said, I think that's what Chief Mack is doing. I think there are certain aspects of policing that we don't need to be aware of, that we don't need to be involved in. But as far as the things that we need to know, I think that he's going to be a very transparent chief, and I think his officers are going to work in that direction as well.
Yeah. What specific metrics or benchmarks will you use to measure success on crime, crime reduction, and neighborhood well-being?
I think that the best metric that we have is community engagement. And I think that the community is a better litmus, if you will, of what's going on in our community. If we've, perception is always considered, well, I won't say always. Perception in many cases is reality.
Yes, sir.
And if we live in a community where we feel safe, where we don't see crime around us, where we see our police officers traveling and we see our police officers getting out and engaging with community, where we see that we can pick up the phone and we can call and we can have our police there in a timely manner to address the issues that we have. I think that the community will be a better reflection of that rather than any sort of statistic. If we feel safe as a community, I think that we are a safe community. And if we feel that our police department is being responsive to our needs, then they are being responsive to our needs. If, but by the same token, if we feel that we live in an unsafe community, then again, our perception becomes reality, and we have to address those perceptions to make sure that people do feel safe in our community. But I do think that the litmus and the measuring stick for that is always going to be the community itself. And that's where we have community engagement, we have community meetings, we have town halls, and we need to hear from those people. And, Major, I often hear people who complain about things that I do, but they never pick up the phone and call me and say, I wish you had done this. I hear that, but the community engagement is going to be critical for us to be able to gauge what goes on in our community. Pick up the phone, call us, stop me on the street, stop the police chief, say, I want to see this, or this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But let's be an engaged community so that we can gauge the advancements that we make. And even if we lose some ground in some places, we need to be able to have those discussions.
An opponent has questioned the condition of a property you've listed as your residence. Can you address those allegations directly?
It's a sad situation when not only an elected official, but when someone in public in general takes someone's misfortunes and tries to turn that into a weapon. Mm-hmm. That's a sad state of affairs. In October of 2022, a person who was said to have had spice laced with fentanyl in his car was completely unconscious and hit our house at a very high rate of speed, Major. And when he hit that high rate of speed, he shifted our house, literally. Our house is off the foundation. The piers that support our house, every pier that's under our house is cracked. Our roof line was shifted. Our windows on the backside of the house, because the house shifted, have become jammed, and you can't open or close the windows on the backside of the house when he hit the front side of my house. And the structural engineer who came and reviewed our house and looked at our house, reviewed our situation and looked at our house, has in an official report says that our house should only be a demo. Mm. We should demolish our house. Yeah. That it's not livable at this particular point. Our floors are leaning, our walls are leaning on the inside. This is how the impact that this guy had on our house. So state law allows that if you have a traumatic situation like that, mm-hmm. as a representative of the city, that if you have the intent of moving back to that location, that is still considered your residence. Mm-hmm. So on my application for the mayor's seat, that is my official residence. That is a place that I intend to go back to live. If we demo, we're going to build back in that same location. If we are forced to come back and try to rebuild that house, which is going to be difficult because with all the damage that's done to my house, and it slated as a demo, Allstate, my insurance company, because that person didn't have any insurance, offered us $24,000 total to redo our house. $24,000.
Non-doing.
So there's no way to even get my house back on the foundation. So we can't do any aspect of the renovation of our home, definitely not a rebuild with $24,000. So we're in a court case with Allstate, our insurance company, to try to get some resolution to this situation. So what this, and he's not an opponent, he's just a council representative who brought this out. Okay. And I do believe that he was working on someone else's behalf, maybe an opponent. But the thing is that he was taking advantage of a situation that is a traumatic situation for my family, something that I would never see anybody doing. It's hard for me to imagine somebody doing that. But legally, everything that we've done is proper, above board. That is our official residence. So I really, beyond the state of my house, beyond what the state law provides us for with, I really don't have a whole lot more that I can say to that issue.
Yeah. Well, sometimes opponents swing at the air. I do remember when the incident happened, and me and my brother talked about it, and it was like, "What? Like, did you see that?" It was a little talk around the city about this situation right there. Wondering what happened, and thank you so much for letting us know exactly what happened, because I never knew the actual official story behind it. That was crazy.
Yeah, and it's a tough situation for your family. You live in
I
a
can
house,
imagine.
and I lived there since, we lived there since 1990.
Yeah.
And so we've been out of our home now for almost 3 years in a battle with our insurance company. And so I guess we were not in good hands with Allstate. I guess mayhem did attack us. And so it's one of those situations that we just have to deal with. And time will bear out. And I am very positive that ultimately things work out in our favor. But I'm still disappointed that especially someone who's elected by the citizens of our city to make wise and qualified decisions and comments would stoop so low as to hit at someone when they're having a difficult situation.
My grandfather would say shenanigans. How will your administration strengthen ethics, transparency, and code enforcement so that all residents and officials are held to the same standard? I do feel like you answered that, but I gotta ask that again.
Absolutely. I think ethics are, again, they derive from your leadership. You derive ethics from your leadership. If you have a leader who is shady, not doing things properly, not going to hold himself or the people who work underneath him accountable, then your ethics throughout that entire administration will be shady. I think that when you lead by example and you expect people to be honest, when you expect people to be truthful, and that's a part of my campaign: honesty, integrity, leadership, and experience. When that is the expectation throughout the organization, then that becomes the way that things are done. And as far as code enforcement goes, which is sort of a different area that we talk about, but ethics play a role in everything. Your ethical behavior is important with everything. If you have code enforcement agents, who are looking at one area of our city and not another area, if they're looking at a certain population and not another population, then we'll have a problem. With me as mayor, we'll have a problem, and I'll have to step in and make sure that those people are dealt with properly, that everyone knows that the standard is the standard, that everyone is going to be held accountable to the same standard, and that code enforcement will not be enforced more heavily in one area than another, that when we have absentee landlords, that our landlords have to be held accountable, that every aspect of our enforcement policy will be enforced. And some people are not going to like that. I expect strenuous enforcement of our codes, because I think that we become, as a cleaner city, we become a more vibrant city. People become more proud of their community. People have less tendencies to litter. It's contagious. And I think that once we get that contagiousness spreading throughout our community, then we all become better because of it. We have, I've been criticized for voting no on a lot of different things. And one of the things that I have often voted no on, Major, is if your grass is overgrown. I do think that you should absolutely, without a doubt, you should keep your grass up. It's a bad look for your neighbors. It's a bad look for your community. It's a bad look for yourself. But I do think too that I can't hold you accountable and say you should mow your grass when our city's grass is knee high in certain places.
Yeah.
I passed over the 14th Street overpass today, and the grass is probably knee high as you go over the overpass. If you go down Central Parkway, the grass is much higher than it should be. We're not manicuring and taking care of the grass as we expect you to. So that's why I vote on it. I'm not going to ever be a hypocrite. I'm not going to say you do it and I don't do it and I shouldn't do it. I don't think that the city should be in that posture where we tell you to do it. But again, by the same token, I expect you to do yours. But when we get ourselves in shape, and as mayor of the city, and I make sure that our grass is mowed and we're doing things properly, then I expect you to do yours, and I expect you to be held accountable for that.
I never even thought about that. Like, that made me think about contracts and when to get grass scheduled. Anyway, man, that's too much. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, man. There's little
forward-
small things
I
like
look
that.
forward to it, though. I
Yeah,
look forward to it. I'm
yeah.
prepared for it.
Yeah. You're definitely prepared for
Prepared for it.
Yeah, since '96. I only got 3 more questions, and Billy and his team has been more than gracious enough with me and the platform. I lied to Billy and told him I was only going to need him for 35 minutes. I had to, guys.
You know, my manager said this, so she said, the way you talk, either he's going to cut it down and you're only going to do 3 or 4 questions, or you're going to have to extend the time. So we were prepared for it either way.
And thank you guys so much. I appreciate you and your team. I really do.
Okay.
Okay. And another thing, I couldn't believe how easy I was able to get in touch with Billy Jackson during a time like right now. I did not expect Billy text me back personally. You know, I could not believe that. And so accessibility is huge. I was like, it's a long shot. Billy probably won't inbox me back, but you know, he did, praise God.
Hey, it's not just a slogan. It's real.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah. What outreach or bridge building strategies will you employ to unite Decatur's diverse populations?
I think we've already answered that, but
yeah, we have.
I think we have to get people on both extremes. Decatur's we have a fractured community, if you will, and we're struggling right now because we have people on both extremes. We had the Steve Perkins case to come about, so that's one hot button issue that we have, and we have to address that. But again, we have to get people on both extremes together, and I have to be the facilitator for that. I have to be the conduit. I have to bring people together. And I do think that even though we might not agree in the end, that we have to understand that we do have more in common than we have differences, as I've said before. We have to understand that we might not agree, but if we work together, we can build a community that is not torn apart, not fractured. I have my opinion, you have yours, but we can still work together. Mm-hmm. We can work together to make sure that we still have a safe community. We still have a clean community. We still trust in the justice system. We still respect the things that our neighbors do, and we respect our neighbor's opinion. If we can come together and have those conversations and communicate those things to each other, I think that we're all better off. And I do believe that conversation can be had, and I do believe that once it is had, that as we inch closer together, people are going to be more willing to work together. I think that right now we're at sort of a standoff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't want to hear what you have to say. You don't want to hear what I have to say type attitude. And if we can get those people to say, well, hey, look, let's just listen to the other side in both directions, then I think that we can start to have those meetings, conversations. They can be larger meetings. They can be smaller meetings. However we need to do, whatever is going to be the most successful way of approaching that, I'm open to trying to be that facilitator.
I think the citizens of Decatur can come together and walk together with base standards. I mean, if we got base standards, I think everybody agree on base standards, certain things like that you've spoken about throughout the interview. So I do feel like all citizens should be able to, it should be a base that we can, move forward from. What message would you give in one sentence to every Decatur resident who has not yet decided or registered?
The message that I would give is that, so often, I don't know that I can do it in one sentence, but so often we will gauge our vote on who we like. And we will decide to vote on someone because we grew up with this person. I like this person. I've known this person for 30 years. I went to high school with this person. I think that any candidate in any race will have that. There will be 100 reasons that you can say that you're going to vote for that candidate. But I think the thing that's going to separate us from everybody else is the level of education that we have. I have always felt that when it comes to the people who I work with, Major, that I have to always be, because of the part of the city that I represent, because of who I represent, because we are the least affluent district, because we have the lowest level of education in my district throughout the city as far as the district goes. And those are all census data. That is all census data, if you will. That's not just me coming off the top of my head.
No, accurate.
I have always tried to make sure that I have to be one step ahead of my council counterparts. So I have engaged in the educational process. My master's is in employment law. I'm currently working and not far from completing my PhD. My 29 years of experience is longer than any person has ever served the city of Decatur in any elected capacity. No mayor, no council member has ever served for 29 years. As we sit here today, I have more tenure and more experience than all of my council counterparts that I sit with currently and the mayor combined. All of their years combined don't add up to the years that I have. So we can vote for a person, Major, based on the fact that I like them.
Yeah.
We can vote for a person based on the fact that I grew up with them. I went to high school with them. But this is a time, this is a place where our vote has to be based on qualifications. We can't expect to move forward if we continue to vote for people based on popularity. We can't do that. We all ask for a better Decatur. We all ask for better opportunities in the city of Decatur. We all ask for a cleaner environment. We all ask for accountability at City Hall. We all ask for know-how in city government. We can't do that just by voting for people because I like you. We have to do it based on qualifications. If you are hiring a person to run your business, do you hire the least educated person with the least amount of experience? Or do you hire the person with the most amount of experience, with the most training, and with the most education to do that?
The latter.
The latter.
Yeah.
If you were having surgery, or if your loved one was having surgery, do you want the doctor who has seen everything that he or she could possibly see in the operating room, who has 29 years of experience, versus the person who's just coming out of the gate, just getting out of med school, and has not seen those necessarily seen those situations that might arise with anesthesiology or any other phase of that surgery, that we get into that surgery and we see something that we didn't expect? Is that the person that you want, or do you want the person who's seen it all?
I want the merit and the experience.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're looking at, and that's a metaphor for what we're looking at now with this mayor's race. We have a person who's got the experience. We have a person who has the training. We have a person who has the educational background to be able to deal with every aspect of what we deal with. We've dealt with bond issues in every aspect of our bond issue and our borrowing. We have looked at hiring policies. We have looked at things throughout our process that the average person can say, I've run a business, or I've done this, or I've done that, or I worked at this location, that they come in and they have no idea of what we're dealing with. So what we do at that particular time, because we've seen it in the past, we have to take a step backwards. We have to allow that person time to get up to speed, to understand the process. There's one candidate in this mayor's race that you don't have to step back, and you don't have to allow them time to come up to speed with the process. So that's kind of where we are with this race. So when we go out for that, to cast our ballot for the mayor's race, we have to look at those things. We have to look at day one, who can come in and start the process, who can come in and make sure that every process that we're dealing with, we've seen that, who's familiar with every department in our city, and not just because I know the director, who's intricately involved with those departments, youth services, planning, community development, who's been involved with every aspect of those departments. Everybody's going to say, well, I know this person who runs that department or works in that department. Nobody can say that I have more information and understanding of that department than Billy Jackson. So when we go to the polls, if you truly want to see Decatur advance, if you truly want to see what's best for the city of Decatur, we've got to put down those things where we say, you know, I like this person, I grew up with this person. We've got to set those things aside.
Yeah.
We've got to go with the people that, or the person who is most reflective and who has the best chance of making our city and our community thrive again.
Yeah. I think that was a great answer. I like being judged on merit myself, especially when I'm going up for evaluation at work to get a raise. Yeah, merit, guys, I put the work in.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, and I'm pretty sure we already covered it, but assuming election night goes in your favor, how soon will will your transition team begin work, and what will be your first official act as mayor?
I'm going to say this. My campaign is run on honesty and integrity. So I'm going to say this. If things go my way on election night, I'm probably going to sleep for the first 3 days. I am running on, if you're playing video games, and I don't, but I used to see my kids playing video games when they would have the little guys that were fighting, and then the battery starts getting down into the red, and then that guy starts flashing and he's about to fade away.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I am right now. But so for the first 3 days or 2 or 3 days, I'm probably going to hibernate.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like a bear. I'm going to hibernate. But after then, we would start the immediate transition. We would have to let people know what the expectations are. I would hope that the mayor would meet with me and let me know what he's got on the table, because there has to be a transition. But it would be immediate. I think that, as I said earlier in this interview, our 4 years is going to go by really quickly. And we have a 100-day plan. We have a 4-year plan, if you will, that's kind of stretched farther out. But our 4 years is going to go by extremely quickly. So we have to start that process immediately. We have to go in and let people know what those expectations are. I have to go into each department and say, these are the expectations that I'm going to have of this department. So we are going to have a transition team that will be ready to move quickly, letting people know what our standards are going to be, what our expectations are going to be. And I hope that everyone at City Hall is engaged and ready to stay on. But if there comes a time where people don't buy into our program, then we'll shake hands. And if they move on to a different situation, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be a standard. There's got to be an expectation. There's got to be a situation where excellence is expected.
Yes.
And that's what I expect.
Yeah.
I expect excellence out of all of our city employees on a daily basis. I don't think that we have the luxury of, and this is going to sound so crazy, but I don't think we have the luxury of just having an off day and going out there and snapping on our citizens. If you have to step back, get back into your truck and regroup, that's fine. I understand that. We're human. But we don't have the opportunity, we don't have the leeway, if you will, to just kind of go off on people, to snap at people. People pay our salaries.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when they pay our salaries, there's an expectation. And my expectation is going to be very high for the employees of Decatur. It's going to be very high for the work ethic, for our citizens to see our employees working. So to answer your question, day one after I finish sleeping.
Day 4.
Day 4, day 3, whenever it is. It might just take me one day to catch up. But we're going to close the blinds, we're going to sleep, and then we're going to get up and we're going to be running at 100 miles per hour, trying to make sure that in those 4 years, we uncover everything that can be uncovered. We turn over every stone, and we try to make the people of the city of Decatur proud of this city again, that we're seen as a city of opportunity again, that our mayor is seen in high regard, that even the people who did not support me will say, wait a minute, maybe I was wrong. This might have been a better choice that I probably should have voted for. Maybe that is the desire, that I have the opportunity to work with everybody, but that all starts day one.
Thank you so much for that answer. Definitely day one. And so, if I'm not mistaken, the voting dates are August 26th.
August 26th. There's only one voting date.
Okay,
August 26th.
one voting date, August 26th. So, absentee, how does that work?
Absentee, if you're not going to be in the county on the day of the election, then you can go onto the website, get an absentee ballot mailed to you.
Okay.
But what's even better, to make sure that your vote gets in, is to go to City Hall, go to the city clerk's office and say, I'm not going to be in the county or the city on August 26th. I want to fill out my ballot today. The ballots are in. So if you're going to be out of town, you would go and you go through the front door of City Hall, and to the right is his clerk's office on the first floor. And you would just tell people, that the people in there, that you want to cast your vote. They will give you an actual ballot with my name on it and other candidates' names on it. And you will take that ballot. You will fill out that ballot based on what district you live in. You might get a different ballot than, like, District 1 residents might get a different ballot than you here in District 4. And you will fill out that ballot. They will take that ballot, and it will be counted as an absentee ballot once the election is done.
Okay.
So it's a very simple process for people who are shut in and can't get out. You can get on the website, or you can have someone go to City Hall and they will mail that to you, or they'll get that ballot to you. It has to be mailed back in, but it has to be mailed and postmarked by the 26th of August.
Okay.
It has to be postmarked by the 26th of August, and those votes will be counted. And so every vote is going to be critical in this election process. We expect, we don't know whether it's going to be a large turnout or a small turnout, but we do expect that it's going to be a very tight and close race. So we need every vote that we can possibly get. And so people might feel that my vote is not important, but votes are always important in a very close race like this.
Yes, sir.
I think that you, as a resident of District 4, have seen more close races than anybody.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, there was a council member who a perfect storm came, and not literally a perfect storm, but a perfect storm came where this person was supposed to win by landslide. This person told me himself he was a candidate, an incumbent. He was the incumbent. He was supposed to win by landslide. It rained that day. Everybody else was seeing this person as the person who was supposed to win by a landslide, so they didn't go out and vote. This person himself told me that he was thinking about not going out and voting for himself. I can't even imagine that. I'm always wanting to be the very first person
Right.
in the line voting for myself. But it was a perfect storm that day. All the factors worked for the his opponent.
Yeah.
And what happened was the race came down to about a 10-vote margin. And when they did a recount, it came down to single digits. So it was almost a perfect storm for that individual. So here's what I ask for the people of Decatur. Don't let that perfect storm happen. Don't take for granted that anybody's going to win. Don't take for granted that your vote does not count. Understand that every vote is valuable, that it should be a very tight race, that we are asking for your vote. If I don't get a chance to see you, that I am asking for your vote right now. If I don't get a chance to talk to you about a yard sign, don't get upset because you didn't get a yard sign. But please get out and vote. Let's change the city. Let's move the city in a positive direction with leadership that is experienced, leadership that's trained for this, leadership that's educated for this. So let's get out and let's make sure that we do our civic duty, uphold our civic responsibility, get out and vote, and make this thing work so that we can elect a new mayor for the city of Decatur, a mayor who's been there for you for years and years, a mayor who's answered your phone calls, a mayor who's gotten up in the middle of the night to come and take care of your needs. So that's what I ask for from the citizens of Decatur.
Thank you so much for this interview, Billy. Appreciate you. And citizens of Decatur, August 26th, rain or heat, let's get out and
Stand in those lines.
Let's get out, stand in the lines, and make our vote count. This is where real change happens right here on the local level. So let's ensure that we're out there on August 26th, casting our votes, and that's major.